We are especially thrilled to be here tonight. Dennis and I have been involved with HRC for many years, and as usual, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be with you at the 3rd annual Time to Thrive conference. I have been at each one, and I continue to be so moved and so inspired by the energy, commitment, and compassion all of you bring to the work of supporting LGBTQ youth.
After all, it takes all of us, parents, educators, counselors, healthcare providers, friends, and neighbors, to create a welcoming world to LGBTQ youth. We all have a part to play, and tonight we are recognizing someone who has certainly done his part to open our hearts and our minds and to call on us to be our best selves when given the opportunity to stand up for LGBTQ people.
We are so deeply honored to present this Upstander Award to John Quiñones for the tremendous work he is doing addressing LGBTQ bullying and bias on episodes of ABC's What Would You Do? John has used his highly rated program to not only reveal the bigotry that LGBTQ people, including youth, continue to face in going about their daily lives, but also to feature the goodness of many Americans who, without knowing their actions are being recorded, choose to personally confront discrimination.
John, during his 25 years at ABC News, has reported extensively for all ABC programs and anchored primetime. This Texas native has been collecting awards since 1980. He's almost as old as me. When working for WBBM TV in Chicago, he won his first Emmy for reporting on the plight of undocumented immigrants from Mexico. His prize-winning work for ABC News has taken him from Panama City to Congo's rainforest, and he spent nearly a decade reporting for World News Tonight in Central America.
Quiñones' consequential reporting on world hunger and on child slavery in the Dominican Republic has been recognized by the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Awards. His What Would You Do episodes have made headlines across the nation by revealing unscripted reactions to actors playing gay military service members, parents confronting their child about being LGBTQ, same-sex parents, and teens bullying LGBTQ youth.
We recognize and thank John for his commitment to respect and his compassion for our community, for helping to create the kind of welcoming world we want to see for all of our children. Please take a moment to watch John in action.
Hello and welcome to What Would You Do? Although this time around, it's more like, what wouldn't you do?
If you're gay, there are few rights and laws to protect you from discrimination.
We should get a house like right there.
We've set up our hidden cameras at El Sombrero Mexican restaurant. Ben and Andreas are in love, and like most couples, they don't mind showing it.
Oh.
How will people react to this public display of affection?
Really?
And Tracy's
That is disgusting.
objections? What would you do? These guys have reached their limit. He's visibly shaken and upset.
You understand why I had them kicked out, right?
No, not at all. There's a reason why half the world hates America, and it's people like you. Because you have no acceptance for anything else in the world. I'm so pissed right now.
I know, I can see. I'm not trying to make you mad.
Get out, because there is no point in you sitting here talking to me when I'm holding myself back right now.
Before he can't hold back anymore, time to introduce ourselves.
I'm John Quiñones with the TV show What Would You Do? You have tears in your eyes.
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to calm down.
This means that much to you.
Yes, sir. I mean, I hate seeing people that are treated differently for no good reason. I mean, you can't go around and try to change everyone because they're not like you.
The stories are all too real.
A South Florida transgender teenager is being called a trailblazer.
The ACLU is threatening legal action after it barred a transgender student from attending prom.
Everybody in the family agrees this is wrong. Am I crazy? That's not right.
No support here for Vince. Instead, a bit of therapy.
Instead of being harsh or, mad about it, have you tried to talk to him like calmly and trying to understand?
My dad just doesn't understand that this is literally who I am.
Accept the fact that he's not going to accept it.
Forever.
Obviously, he's going to have to come around.
She doesn't miss a beat with both fashion advice and motherly guidance. Time to meet this woman.
Hi, I'm John Quiñones.
Oh my God.
This is What Would You Do?
Are you serious? Oh, so did I pass or fail?
They will tell you that this is who they are.
If you say you're a woman, you're a woman.
Oh, for God's sake, you don't need a list. What you need is a dad.
You're out shopping when you overhear a sales clerk spewing a list of ugly comments about parenthood and same-sex couples. What would you do?
Sorry, how did you even get pregnant in the first place? I had a father, and I really think your baby should too. I'm just saying what everybody else is thinking.
That's not what I'm thinking. I don't think anyone else in this store is thinking that. I wouldn't say the Williamsburg community feels that way, or American public opinion, or the Supreme Court.
I understand.
For instance. So you're not saying what everyone else is thinking. That is not true.
This shopper can't hold back her tears.
Terrible.
Okay, I'm getting really upset. But you should speak to your manager about this, because that's just not the way that people should be treated.
If you grow up on the wrong side of town, it can be hard to find heroes. But one of our own, ABC anchor John Quiñones, found them, and he eventually became one himself. Now he's written a memoir, one that honors the people who inspired him.
My father was a janitor. My mom used to clean houses for a living. When I was 13, we picked cherries and tomatoes in Ohio and Michigan. We were migrant farm workers.
And we faced a lot of racism. People wouldn't let us eat at the restaurants after we spent the day picking cherries. I can relate to a lot of what we see, and the fact is we see it time and again.
There's always the teacher, of course. I had an English teacher. When all of the rest of society told me that I'd never amount to anything, including school counselors who said, when I would ask them, can I go to college someday, they would say, well, yeah, John, but we're thinking maybe wood shop or metal shop or auto mechanics, because they saw me as just another Mexican kid from that area that really didn't have much promise to make it in college. And I always, even as a little boy, I wanted to cry out and say, this is wrong. We need to make things better. You don't know who I am. Why are you judging me by the color of my skin or the accent in my voice? Whether you're gay or of an ethnic group that's picked upon, giving a voice to the voiceless. We bring it out in the open, so we make it real. When you realize the damage that can be done, the hurtful words that are often said, then I think you would be more apt to step in next time you see something like this happen. It is not me being the hero. It's the wonderful everyday heroes who walk in and speak up when they witness injustice. When those stories are aired and broadcast and a difference comes, that's what it's all about. I think what I love to do more than anything is shine a light on things that might be wrong in this country, to illuminate that darkness.
We can be heroes just for one day. Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
Please welcome host of ABC's What Would You Do, John Quiñones.
Just for one day, we can be heroes. Just for one day. Just for one day.
All right, hello. Yes, I do that show, What Would You Do? So you've been warned. We can put those cameras anywhere. No, I promise we won't. We didn't.
Thank you so much for this tremendous honor. I and the staff of What Would You Do are truly humbled by the beautiful Upstander Award. You know, the Reverend Martin Luther King once said that our lives begin to end the moment we stay silent about things that matter. The protection and the respect for every single person in this country, every single person in this room matters. And we created this show to hold up a mirror to society's behavior. What do you do when you witness injustice, bullying, gay bashing, racism? What do you do? When you come face to face with bigotry and discrimination and that little voice in the back of your head says, do something, do you step in or do you step away? It's the greatest test of a man and woman's character is not what we do when everyone is watching, because that's easy, right? It's what we do when we think no one is watching. And the timing for What Would You Do, this candid camera show of ethics and morals, has never been more urgent. My God, look at politics today. All the hatred and divisiveness that's being spewed by people running for the highest office in this country. It's embarrassing, it's mean-spirited, it's hurtful, and it's damaging. We shouldn't stand for it. I mean, like that young man said in the What Would You Do video, no wonder so many people in other parts of the world are against us. And in many ways, I feel like I was born sort of destined to do this kind of show because of where I come from. You see, the folks who watch me up there on ABC News with the greats like Barbara Walters and Robin Roberts and Diane Sawyer and George Stephanopoulos, people who only know me from television, have no idea the long, hard struggle that it took John Quiñones to get there. And it's a message in perseverance for everyone, but especially our youth ambassadors with us tonight. A message in perseverance, because I was born in poverty, in the barrios of San Antonio, Texas, not far from here. And yeah, very proud to be from San Antonio. I didn't speak a word of English when I went to the first grade. This is before bilingual education and before preschool. None of that for me, or kindergarten for me and my sisters. I'll never forget the first day of class there at Carvajal Elementary in Mrs. Gregory's first grade class. And you know, she didn't speak a word of Spanish. I didn't speak a word of English. At 10 in the morning, the school bell rings. And of course, all the kids run out to the playground. It's recess time. Where does little Juanito Quiñones go? I walked home. I live 2 blocks from the school. And I get home and I open the door to my house, and my mother, my dear mother Maria, asked me, ¿Qué pasó, Juanito? What happened? What are you doing here? I said, Se acabó, Mom, it's over. I like school. I think this is going to work out. 2 hours? Yeah, it's going to work out nicely. She grabbed me by the ear and dragged me back to Carvajal Elementary for the rest of the school day. Back then, believe it or not, back then they used to punish us in school for speaking Spanish. The coach had a wooden paddle that had holes drilled into it for extra speed and strength and power. And he would take 3 swings at us if they caught us speaking Spanish. So I know what it's like not to fit the mold of what the rest of society deems American or acceptable. My father was a janitor. My mom used to clean houses on the rich part of town. And to help out, at the age of 8 years old, I shined shoes on the west side of San Antonio, me and my cousin Joey. And we go to all the bars, the cantinas, because the drunk guys didn't realize how much they were tipping us. Then when I was 13 years old, my father was laid off from work. And we did what a lot of Mexican-American families did back then to survive. We joined a caravan of migrant farm workers, and we headed north to pick vegetables and fruits. Me and my 2 sisters, my dad and my mother, jumped in the back of a truck, and we journeyed 1,700 miles to Northport, Michigan, the cherry capital of the world, where we picked those berries for 75 cents a bucket. And I remember teetering on the top of a rickety ladder, trying to fill that darn bucket. It would take me 2 hours to get those 75 cents.
And then we followed the crops down to Ohio, where we picked tomatoes for 35 cents a bushel. And I picked 100 bushels a day. I was a champion tomato picker. 100 bushels for 35 cents, that was $35. Good money back then. And my father picked about 130 bushels, then my mom and my sisters added to that. And we learned the value of the family coming together to pull themselves out of adversity. But I'll never forget being down on my knees on the cold, hard ground at 6 in the morning, looking at a row of tomato plants that for a young 13-year-old boy's eyes seemed like they went on for miles and miles. And my father, Bruno, looking down and saying, Juanito, you want to do this for the rest of your life? Or do you want to get a college education? It was a no-brainer. I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. But the message that I kept hearing from the rest of society was that I wasn't good enough for college. On Sundays, when we weren't picking tomatoes, we would go shopping for clothes at the Goodwill store or for a burger at some fast food restaurant. And people there in Michigan and Ohio would stare and make fun of us and follow us around, thinking that we were about to steal something. They did what people on this TV show, What Would You Do all the time. They judged us by our tattered clothes, the color of our skin, and the accent in our voices. Thank God for my mother, Maria, the most compassionate woman, proud woman I've ever known. She was the one who would say, Mijo, my son, don't be embarrassed that you have to take the same clothes to school every other day. At least we wash those clothes, they're clean. And don't be ashamed that you have to take bean and tortilla tacos for lunch to school when all the other kids are having their fancy white bread and bologna. Don't be ashamed, she goes. That doesn't matter. What matters, what truly matters, is what's in here, and what's in here in your corazón, in your heart. And that's why I do this show, because I've been there. I have seen the good and the bad, the ugliness, but also the beauty and the triumph of the human spirit with kindness and compassion. So I thank you, the HRC, the National Education Association, and the American Counseling Association for everything you do to shine the light on LGBTQ issues, especially the light on our youth. You are the true heroes. And I leave you tonight with the words of a genius, Albert Einstein, who once so eloquently reminded us that the world is a dangerous place, but not because of those who do evil. It's because of those who look on while evil is being committed and do nothing. Thank you for having me here. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches. Have a great night. Thank you so much. So much. I love you. Thank you. Thank you.